Hello and welcome back to the Bright Light Wellness YouTube channel. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm your host today, Vanessa Baldwin, founder of Bright Light Wellness and classical homeopath. And today we are going to talk about the homeopathic remedy Natmur or Natrum Muriaticum, which actually is made from a mineral, salt. So simple, right? It's just made from salt. That's basically what homeopathy. It's all made from natural sources, right? So the homeopathic Natmur is a very frequently indicated remedy. Salt mineral imbalances is super, super rampant in today's day and age. But again, this is all going to be dependent upon you and your unique susceptibility and if you go into a Natmur state, right? Your constitution, right? So I'm going to talk to you about the Natmur constitution today. Natmur is a frequently indicated remedy, though, for sure. Remember, homeopathy, you always want to support the body or treat the body based on your unique individual symptoms. So you have to match the symptoms to the person. So that's how homeopathy works, right? So let's talk about Natmur. So Natmur is, honestly, it's used mostly as a grief remedy. Okay, so it's a very big supportive grief remedy. Main grief remedies are Natmur, phosphoric acid, Ignatia, Staph aureus, and causticum. Those are the main grief remedies that we have. But yes, Natmur is one of our main remedies for like really deep grief that they have. Very deep grief. They are very highly sensitive patients, very refined patients. Any of the natrums are going to be very sensitive remedies. So you're talking about nat carb, nat sulf, nat myrrh, very sensitive remedies. Okay. They can be, they're very, they don't take criticism well. They have a lot of they don't take rejection well. Rejection is hard. They're very introverted. They're more closed people. Okay. Closed, responsible, dignified, much affected by grief or disappointed love, ailments from grief and disappointed love, silent grief. They don't let it out. They don't express. This is what's causing the pathology, that they cannot let their grief out. They cannot express. They cannot cry. They cannot share this with anybody. They keep it all inside. And this is what causes pathology in the body, right? They can have depression. They can even be suicidal. Very serious, proper and responsible people, very easily offended, wounded. They're sad, but they cannot weep. They cannot let it out. But then they can also have this like involuntary, like hysterical weeping that can come out. Reminds me of Ignatia a little bit in that way, because Ignatia can have that as well. This kind of hysterical alternating states, really more. It's more of an alternating state with Ignatia, but let's focus on Natmur. I tend to do that. This is a very hysterical remedy, Ignatia. But Natmur is way more closed. You're more likely going to see closed. You're more likely going to see can't cry in front of others. And if they do cry, it can go to hysterics, but it's like not often going to happen. They have aversion to company. They have desire to be alone and are ameliorated by being alone. Very similar to sepia in that way. But they are fastidious. They like things a certain way. It's fastidious particularly about their health, but they can be fastidious about other things too. Can be very perfectionistic. They want to always be on time. They don't like to be late. They can be compulsive. They are adverse to consolation. Also, another sepia. If you listen to my video on sepia, you also see that one in sepia. They don't like, very related to sepia, Natmur. They're complementary remedies. But they don't like consolation. They don't want you to console them. Don't console them. I don't want your pity. If an Natmur is upset, don't give them a hug. They don't want a hug. They want to just be left alone, process on their own, do their thing. Okay. They have fear of robbers, darks. They have claustrophobia, fear of germs, heights, insects. So lots of fears. They can be definitely hypochondriacal, anxious about their health. Extreme is pretty high. They have this high anxiety about their health. When they drink, then they love everybody. They open up. That's the only time that a Natmur can opens up. They can bite their fingernails, and they can have PMS with irritability. They are generally a warm, blooded person. They are warm and aggravated by heat and aggravated by the sun. So generally they are warm, okay? Mostly aggravated by heat, not by cold. They can be definitely aggravated by the sun, and they can have aggravation from 10 a.m. on from the day. Like, so they get a headache at 10 a.m. and then it continues and lingers all day long. They get headaches from the sun. They get migraines from the sun. That's very Natmur. They are They can have vertigo. This is a good remedy for headaches, worse from 10 a.m. to about 3 p.m., like little hammers on the head, headaches from grief. This is also a good remedy for hay fever, which is allergies. They have like this more of an egg white discharge. It's a good remedies for herpes, whether that's on the mouth or in the genital area. It is a remedy for herpes. Lacrimation of the eyes, so the eyes can have to have that discharge in them and watery, worse in the wind. This can also be a good remedy for thyroid conditions or goiters. It's usually more of the hyperthyroid state than the hypothyroid state, but it can be a remedy because homeopathic remedies are always going to balance, right? Bring the body back into balance. As far as food cravings, they love salt, which makes sense because this is homeopathic salt. So they love salt, they love sour, lemons, bitter foods, chocolate, burnt foods, bread, milk, and they're averse to fat, which is also very similar to pulsatilla. Other remedy that has the biggest aversion to fat is pulsatilla. They don't like fatty foods, so they're not going to eat the fat off the steak. They don't like rich foods or slimy foods like egg whites or okra. They don't like chicken. And they also could have aversion to milk and salt. So it could go the other way. A lot of times the pendulum can go one way or the other in a person. Very important symptom is they are usually extremely thirsty for ice cold drinks. So they like a lot of ice cold drinks. Okay. So often a Natmer is going to drink a lot of ice cold drinks, and often very similar to phosphorus, very similar to sulfur. Veratrum alba can have this. A lot of remedies can have it, but mercury, arsenicum alum in sips. There can be constipation for sure with hemorrhoids, bleeding hemorrhoids. They have bashful kidneys where they don't like to urinate in front of others. They can have painful intercourse and vaginal dryness, which is also, again, similar to sepia. They can have aversion to sex, especially in women's, again, similar to sepia. The emotions are closed down due to their grief. They have aversion to sex. A sepia is going to have aversion to sex more because she's overwhelmed and exhausted and has hormonal disturbances. Where Natmer, it's more a grief issue. Asthma is worse in the evening between 5 to 7 a.m. They're worse lying on the left side, and they have palpitations at night. They will sigh a lot. A lot of remedies sigh a lot due to grief. Ignatia as well, Natmer as well. It's a way of letting the grief out, so they sigh. They also have back pain better by lying on something hard or pressing against a hard book, which sepia also has that as well. A lot of similar things to sepia. They have insomnia where they can't fall asleep due to grief, due to disagreeable things. They like, it could be grief, but it also, Natmer also like thinks about the things all day long. Like they're like, oh man, I had this disagreement or this happened and I'm thinking about it and I'm rehashing it. And I'm like, because they have this like fear of rejection and fear of like, they just rehash things in their brain a lot. So they can't fall asleep because they're thinking about all these things, right? They sleep on the left side. So I hope that gives you a good indication of what Natmer is like. It's an excellent remedy for grief, for migraine headaches, for bowel issues, constipation, hay fever, depression, anxiety. All these things can really be supportive. Thyroid issues, irritable bowel syndrome, goiters, so many things. It's a really awesome remedy. Remember, you never want to self-prescribe. You want to always meet with somebody to support this and make sure you're getting the right remedy for you. Homeopathy only works if you get the right remedy. That's really important. So you always want to make sure that you're getting the right remedy that matches your symptomology. And you do this by meeting with a classically trained homeopath who's going to support you on the physical, mental, and emotional level. I am a classically trained homeopath. With anything chronic, you really want somebody guiding you along a homeopathic journey. It's not as simple as, oh, I take one remedy and I fix myself. No, that's not how it works. We all have layers. We have to find the uppermost layer. We have to find what the remedy you need is right now before we go and just take remedies willy-nilly. I don't support that. You should be meeting with somebody to take remedies. But if you want to learn about homeopathy, you can learn so in my channel. And I have lots of videos on homeopathy and all the things, and you can get some good knowledge. In acute care, it's okay to maybe self-prescribe, but if you're struggling, definitely meet with somebody as well, even in acute situations. So I am taking new clients if you are ready to start your homeopathic journey with me, or with somebody else, that's fine too. But I am taking new clients. I can have homeopathy courses you can check out on ear infections, on kidney infections, UTIs, as well as first aid care, and what else is out? And flus. So you can take a look at that. You can start to study homeopathy and become self-empowered and really learn the power of this medicine. And yeah, you can book in a acute session with me for acute issues, which means like they're not a chronic thing, or you can book an initial session for chronic issues. Everything's linked below. If you got questions on that Mur, go ahead and, ask them, put them in the question box below, comments below, excuse me. Like, subscribe to the video, share this video, share my channel. Let's get this message out there, because homeopathy is such powerful things. And if you're stuck due to a grief situation that you can't move through, and you can't cry, and you are really thirsty for ice cold drinks, and you're constipated, you can't let anything flow, and you have aversion to sex and intercourse, and you're, really have a lot of anxiety about your health, and you can't stand the sun, maybe you should check out Natmur. But I would definitely meet with somebody to double check that that's the right remedy for you. So anyway, I hope this video was supportive and helpful to you on your healing journey, and helps you learn a little bit about the homeopathic remedy Natmur. And I will catch you on the next video. Have a good one.